Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well today. So I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different. I know there's a bunch of beauty tags where you answer questions about your eyeshadow palettes and stuff like that. And I do plan on doing one of those, but I wanted to put a spin on it and answer some questions about books. So I have come up with some questions. Not all of them are like my own. I did get some ideas off of book, book no, paperfury.com, sorry. Um, I did have quite a few written down and I was working on it and I had my notebook at work and I'm pretty sure I left it there because I can't find it anywhere. So I had to pull out a new notebook and kind of start over. So I was basically just trying to remember what questions I wrote down, just in general. So whether some of these are from me or whether some of these are from that website, I'm not 100% sure which is which. I do know that there's at least one question in here from that website. But again, I was just trying to remember what questions in general I had. So I have all of my books with me on either side of me. So I think we're just gonna get right into it because I'm kind of excited for this. Okay, so the very first question is I'm gonna be reading them off of my list here. I have 11 of them. So the first question is, which book do you have multiple copies of? And this one, I know I thought of this one. Because when I did, I was like, oh, that's a perfect question because I have more than just one book that I have more than one copy of. So the first book, actually, it's right here. The first book that I didn't even realize I had more than one copy of is the book Holes. Um, I hope you know this book. This was turned into a movie. Shia LaBeouf was in this. It is so good, even though it's more of like an elementary school read. I absolutely love this book. I don't know if I thought I got rid of it because I know I have gotten rid of quite a few books over the past couple years. So I don't know if that's where I thought I put it or if I just thought I lost it and couldn't find it anymore. But I was sorting through my books a little while ago and I came across both of them. And I think one was in one room, one was in another, and I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, and I discovered I had two of these copies and I'm actually not mad about it. I was like, you know what, this one, I will keep both books because you never know and it's so good. So the other book that I have more than one copy of is by Nicholas Sparks. It's a newer book and it's his book called See Me. Again, I didn't realize I had two copies of this one. I believe there was another book. I think it was from him as well. I found out that I had two copies, so I went and returned one. This one, I found out I had two, and I didn't even know it. I think I was using one as like decoration on my coffee table, and one was on my bookshelf. So I just decided to keep them both. The other one of this that I have, one of the girls at work wanted to read it, so I gave her one copy for now to borrow and read, and I'm gonna read this one, and we're kind of gonna do a little like book club on it. So that's kind of exciting, the fact that one of them is actually being put to use while this one will be as well. So those are the two books that I have more than one copy of. I do have another book though, which I have different variations of, and that would be Alice in Wonderland. So I haven't actually read any of them. I have four. One of them is after Alice, so I know that's different. The one that I have here with me is The Adventures of Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass. So I have two big, thick, heavy hardcover books that are Alice in Wonderland, but I haven't read them, so I don't know if two out of the four are the same or three out of the four are the same. But I do have four different variations, at least, of Alice in Wonderland, and I do want more because Alice in Wonderland is my absolute favorite. I just love it. I always have. So those are my multiple copy books. Question number two, which book are you currently reading? Now, this one's kind of funny because I am reading this book that I borrowed from a friend of mine. It's called Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney, and I'm about almost halfway through the book right now. I've been reading it for probably about a week, maybe two. Um, yeah, about that long. So I've been reading this book for that long. And then just the other day when I was at work, one of the girls there, she brought in a couple of books. And the book that I'm reading during the day is this one by Nora Roberts called The Next Always. So this book is my evening book, and this one is my daytime book. I did bring this home for the weekend because I would like to get through this one and then finish reading this one. I have Tuesday off, which is an extra day on this long weekend, so I'm hoping to kind of power through as much as I can. But these are the two books that I'm currently reading. And then, like I said, my See Me by Nicholas Sparks, we want to kind of read this and do like a book club. She's just finishing off my Safe Haven book that she has, and then she's going to start reading this. So I'm probably going to be reading 3 books at once, which I know it's going to be pretty tough, but I will make it work. Because I am excited to read this one too. I was just kind of hoping to not have more than one book at a time, but it doesn't always happen that way, I guess. But that's okay. So my next question number 3, is which book did you finish last? So just before I started reading Sometimes I Lie, I actually finished this lovely book here. It's the Nancy Drew Files. This is honestly the only Nancy Drew book that I have. And I don't even believe it's actually mine. Like, I didn't buy this book. I think a friend borrowed it to me when we were like little. So this is Case 66, Tall, Dark, and Deadly. So I had finished this one, and as soon as I finished this book, I picked up Sometimes I Lie. So about a week or 2 weeks ago is when I had finished that book. So question number 4, which book do you want to read next? So like I said, I'm currently reading 2, almost 3 books, and I feel like I will be reading 2, possibly 3 books for the next little while. So my original plan was when I finished reading this book, Sometimes I Lie, my friend lent me another book called The Other Sister, and I don't have it with me here right now, but I wanted to read that one right after I read this one. That is still my plan. This Nora Roberts book that I've started reading a couple of days ago is a series. So she lent me both. So this one is called The Last Boyfriend. So once I finish reading this copy, I want to start reading the next book in the series. And then that will be 2 books that I'm reading. And then technically the next book that I'm going to be reading is also See Me. This one's been popping up quite a bit lately, but that's okay. So those are the books that I plan on reading next. I don't think there's any other ones, at least I hope not, because 3 books at once is going to be a lot. 2 books at once can get overwhelming sometimes. So question number 5, hardcover or paperback? Now, it all depends because I love them both. So, like I said, I have 2 big, heavy hardcover Alice in Wonderland books. I love hardcover books. I love how they look. But to read, paperback is my favorite. I love just these pocket-sized paperback books. I honestly wait for these Nicholas Sparks books. I wait until they come out in paperback before I purchase them. So even though they come out in whichever version first, like normally this size, I wait until they're in the pocket size before I buy them. So all my Nicholas Spark books are the same size, and I have this little like OCD thing when it comes to books. They all have to be the same size. They all have to be the same covers or like type of covers. So if they change the covers on them, they all have to be the same. I'm a little neurotic sometimes when it comes to my books. But as for reading, I find sometimes the hardcover books, like it's not that the covers prevent you from reading, but it's just so much easier to bend the book and read it and like really get into it when you're reading just a small little pocket-sized paperback book. So that's my answer, paperback. Okay, so question number 6. Which book have you not finished? You've just moved on from and went on to a new one. Now, this one I'm actually going to do a separate video on all the books that I have not finished, but I still have bookmarks in them because there's quite a bit. And all I'm going to say is I've taken bookmarks out of books and haven't finished them. So I'm just going to pull one from there. I'm not going to go into too much detail because that's all going to be in that video. But this book right here is by Candace Bushnell, who does the in the Sex and the City series. I'm just over halfway in this book, and I never finished it, and I moved on to a new one, and more details about that will be in the next video. So if you want to know, you're going to have to stay tuned and watch that one. We're going to leave that there. Okay, so question number 7 is, which book did you expect to like, but you didn't? This one was kind of a disappointment. This book is a TV show before I show it, and I've heard it's a really good TV show, and I haven't watched the show. I like to read the books before I watch the movies or before I watch the TV shows instead of the other way around. So that's what my intention was to do with this one. I was going to read the book and then watch the show. Don't hate me. Orange is the new black. Maybe I need to give this another go. I don't know. But when I started reading this, I tried so hard and I just could not get into this book. And I thought I was really going to like it considering everybody just loved the show. Everybody was raving about the show, especially like when it first came out. So I was like, oh, I want to read the book. And I was so excited to get into it, and I just haven't been able to. So this is one that I was really disappointed in. I really thought I was going to like it, but I didn't. So maybe if I give it a go second time around, maybe that will change. So number 8 is, which book did you not expect to like, but you do? Now this book is probably my most recently bought book. I believe I bought this just around Christmas time. It is a Christmas book, which that for one I don't really like, and it's more of like a romantic novel, which I don't want to say I don't like them. As long as it's not too like lovey-dovey, I can read it. Sometimes it's a little too much and I can't. But this book I was actually really surprised by because it's a mix of both and I actually really liked it. So it's by Debbie McCumber and it's called Alaskan Holiday. And there's not too much of the Christmas in it, and there's not too much of the lovey-dovey in it. Like, it's definitely more of a romantic book, but I managed to get through it, and I don't know if it's just the size because I know that definitely helped it, but it was a decent read and one that I was excited to go back to and continue on reading when I had the chance to. So this one actually really surprised me in a good way and has actually kind of made me want to read a little more Debbie McCumber. I do have others. I haven't read them yet, but after reading this one, I know she has more of like the Alaskan series. I don't know if it's an actual series or not. I do want to look into that a little bit more, but I do want to try reading some more of her books because I was pretty impressed. So number 9, which author takes over your bookshelf? So, um, there's a couple, but the main one is Nicholas Sparks. I have 20 of these books. I'm just pulling this one out right now because I've already shown it, but I have 20 and this is including my double copy, so technically 19, but that is still a lot. I think I'm missing 3 of his books. I have not read them all, but he dominates my bookshelf. Besides him, I have Jackie Collins, which I just remembered I have this book here. This is also a multiple copy that I have. I have this one in paperback and I do have a hardcover in this one. This one's called The Power Trip. But I do have, I believe, 10 of her books, including the double copy of this one as well. And I do have another book of hers called Drop Dead Beautiful. I do have that in a hard copy, and I know I had it in this paperback version. I just don't know if I got rid of that because I can't find it, but I do want to get the paperback version of it again if I can find it. But Jackie Collins would definitely take second place where I have 9 or 10 of them. But Nicholas Sparks, number 1. And I don't know what it is, but every time he comes out with a new book, I just have to have it. So number 10 is called Which Book Do You Want to Read Again? Now, there's a couple that I want to read again. But the most recent one that I decided, like, once I have kind of finished the current books and the ones that I want to read next, what I really want to do is kind of just go back and I want to read, of course, like I said, they're Nicholas Sparks, but I want to read these two books. Again, I have read them both, but this book, The Notebook, and then this book is The Wedding. And this book is actually a follow up to The Notebook. So I think that's why I want to read them again, because I want to read them in that order. So it's not a sequel, but it's a follow up. So it's these characters, Ali and Noah, they're brought up, but the characters in this book are different. So I can't remember if I'm trying to take a look at the back here really quick. Um, I don't know if it's like their children or grandkids or something like that. But I do want to read both of these books again and actually see the flow of them and how they work together, because I think that would be really cool. And then for the last question, number 11, single books or series? Now, this is a tough one, just like my hardcover or paperback question. I do like them both, but I find it depends on my mood. So I do like single books in the sense of like I don't necessarily need to keep up with all of the books. I do love series, but I do need to have all of the books before I buy them and before I start reading them, or at least buy them, but have them all before I start reading them. So I have like part series, but I don't have a full series. I have like one or two up there, but I don't have a full series of a lot of books. I have partial ones because either they haven't finished coming out with the series or something like that, but I won't read them until I have the full series. So I do like the series because you have like a decent storyline, and even if they kind of veer off with different characters, you can be like into a book and keep up with it for 4 books or more or less, whatever. But I do like series for that. But I do like single books because if I'm not in the mood to, or I just want to read something just to read it, and I can just pull something off my shelf, like, well, let's grab this one. Um, I know that once I finish it, I'm finished with it, and I don't have to worry about going to get the next one, or I don't have to worry about, is there going to be another one coming out? I know this is it, that's all, I'm done with it, I've read it, on to the next book, and I can just kind of check it off my checklist and keep on going. So I do like them both. I am really into series books though, because I think they're just fun, and it's a good way to like keep you going with a plot line or a storyline or certain characters for a decent amount of time, and I do enjoy that, especially when you're really getting into the characters. um I know, like, with these Nancy Drew books, like I said, this is the only one that I have, and like I like also when they have books that go in order. Sometimes they like play off of each other, but they don't necessarily have to, so it's kind of a mix of both. um but I always feel like I'd have to read the books in order. So I want to get number one. Like I want to start at the very beginning and read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and like all the way up until however far it goes. And even though the characters may not all intertwine with each other, I feel like it's a different kind of a series, and it's something that I would be into. So I like those kind of series as well, where it's kind of the mix. So I'm definitely into both. So I know that was a very long answer, probably the longest answer, but that would be my little book tag. Those are all of my 11 questions. I know there was definitely more that I had written down in the first place, but I just can't remember them at the moment or when I tried writing those down. So, what about you? You can answer these questions down below. Let me know what your answers are to these. Let me know what you think. Do you like hardcover or paperback? Do you like series or single books? What's the last book that you read? What book are you currently reading? And what's next? Yeah, and if you think of any other questions, like ask me down below and I'll try and get back to you and answer them and just see. And I find like I have a hard time with books, so I'm always trying to look for something different. I have tons of books, but I'm always trying to find something that might interest me a little bit more. That's why my friend borrowed me this book and then the other one called The Other Sister, just so that I have something to kind of look at and go into and see if it's something that I would be interested in. And I do like it. It's a good book so far. So I'm glad that she lent me her book, and I'm looking forward to reading the next one. So yeah, let me know your answers down below. I would be so excited to see what you guys have to say about that. My question, the one that I'm probably the most curious about, is which author dominates your bookshelf? I don't know why it's Nicholas Sparks for me, but it just so happens to be. But I'm really curious about who it is for you. So let me know down below. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Bye.